Okay, well, I did this video a while ago, but after having seen the final result, I wasn't happy with it at all. It was really blurry. You couldn't see what I was doing. So I figured out what I was doing wrong with the resolution, with my recording resolution and my production resolution were two different ones. So it was taking a lot longer for it to produce, and then on top of that, it was coming out really, really blurry. People were like spending like a minute watching the video, thinking it was gonna, crisp up, or maybe it was a download thing. But no, it was horrible. So this will be a remote management um, video, and it shouldn't take that too long. I'll try to make it kind of quick, but it's actually really easy to set up. Our remote management, in a nutshell, is the ability for you to put initial configuration on a router and/or a switch, or an ASA, or any other type of any networking device that's going to work on your network. And what you're doing is you're setting it up with an IP address on a network that you can connect to, so you don't have to be either in the server room, the IT room, or maybe the MDF, or wherever else you might have equipment. So basically, what you're going to do is you're going to take, you get your computer here, you got your switch here, and you get your router. So assuming that this is going to be, these are all point-to-point connections. So what you're going to do is you got this cable right here. It's called a console. So you click on the back of here, RS-232. That is the serial connection 232 that you're going to plug into the back of your computer, and you're going to plug it here into the back of the console port. Now the console port is the same jack type as the fast Ethernet. It's an RJ45. It's still got 8 wires. The pinouts are, it goes 1 through 8 on here, and on this guy it goes 8 through 1. So what they do is they just roll them over. So if I remember this correctly, 8 swaps spaces with 1, 7 with 2, 6 with 3, and 5 with 4. And then 4 and 5, they flip as well. So it's just, you're basically taking the 4 cables and you're flipping sides, if you will. Does that make sense? I might not be 100% right on the pinout, but that's the basic idea. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on the computer here, and let me drag it over from my other monitor here, and this is what we're going to do. Let me slide this guy in over here, and I'll pull up PC0. So we go to the desktop. Now this is Cisco's packet tracer. If you're in a networking academy with Cisco, you get this for free. It's out there online, so if you have any type of Google skills, you can find it. It's not that hard to find. So what you're going to do, you're going to go click on the terminal window here. Terminal setup is what you're going to use if you're going to do a physical connection to the router, switch, ASA, PICs, whatever. So what you're going to do is all of this stuff right here is going to be the same. Now, one thing I'm going to point out is bits per second. This 9600 is a bit per second transfer speed. What does that mean? Well, you may have heard 56K, you might have heard 128K, you may have heard 64K for ISDN. Well, basically that's what these are. So you get 19,200, 38,400, 57,600, and 115,200. So let's say, for instance, you're coming into an environment where something's broke, like the iOS got deleted, and then they rebooted the switch or the router, and it's got the basic, it's got the mini iOS, it's got the bootstrap in there. So what you're going to want to do is you're not going to want to transfer the speed at 9600, you're going to want to transfer it this. So if you're trying to move an operating system via console connection from the computer to the router or switch or ASA or what have you, you're going to want to use the fastest console connection speed that's available. So that's one thing I wanted to point out to you. But in normal tense, you're going to want to use 9600 because that's a 9.6 K per second, or 9600 baud. So data bits, well, you're going to want to use all 8 bits in data. You don't want to have any type of slowdown to where you're putting out nibbles, or you don't want to have any type of errors with that. So we're going to click OK. What that's going to do is it's going to bring up the terminal window, and as you can see right here, for a couple things I'm going to point out to you right away, is this is an 1841. This is how much memory is available on the system. This is flash right here, I believe. So this is flash. This is your NVRAM. So flash means that you're going to be able to save it and work with it. So whenever you log into it, it's going to copy the startup config into the running config into flash, and it's going to save. I might have these reversed. This might be the NVRAM, this might be the flash, but whatever the case may be. I think this is flash though. I'm pretty sure this is NVRAM. NVRAM is where your startup config is going to sit, so that it doesn't get erased when the power goes away. But anyway, this tells you how much NVRAM. You got 198 kilobytes, or 191 kilobytes, and you got 64K of compact flash. This is your operating system right there. So this would be, you're dealing with an 1841 router. This is the particular type of iOS you're running. It's the Advanced IP Services K9M. I believe this is the one that allows you to do SSH. And what this does, version 12.4 15T. What does that mean? You're running 12.4 15T1. This is train. This is what T stands for. And 12.4.15, for anybody studying for the CCIE certification, this is the iOS you're going to want to run. Well, the same version anyway. This version right here of iOS on your routers that you're going to be working with in order to pass your CCIE lab. Now, there is actually one little hiccup. They do use 1841s in the lab, but they use Advanced Enterprise Services for the lab iOS. So eventually I'll bring up GNS3 and I'll show you what I've got running, and I have the exact same iOS numbers right here, but mine's Advanced Enterprise Services. But for anybody that's familiar with Windows, this right here is going to be this would be like you're running a Dell Inspiron 560, which is the kind of a computer I have, and then this would be you're running Windows 7 and like Service Pack 2, if you will, or Service Pack 1, if as of this date of this recording, and it is January 6, 2013. But anyway, moving on. Continue with configuration dialog. This is basically a command line wizard that is designed to help you set up your router or your switch. It's the same with all the devices that I'm familiar with. I've never been on an ASA, so I don't know for sure if it's the same setup, but with a router and a switch, this is what you're going to get. So what you're going to want to do, for the sake of recording, we're just going to hit yes. And what does it do? Would you like to enter basic management setup? Yes. What this is going to do is going to take you through, and it's going to set the host name, the passwords, the configuration, the IP addresses, the subnet masks. I don't know if it does any routing or any type of anything fancy like that, but it's going to be a command line wizard. So it's going to be the same thing as if you were to start up Windows and you want to set up your the username, the password, and then it's going to pop up things like, do you want Internet Explorer to be your main browser, or Firefox, or Chrome, or do you want Real Player to be your default media player? Do you want to go here? Do you want to go there? Do you want this to pop up? Do you want that to pop up? Basically the same concept as this, except for it's a command line GUI, but it's not graphical. It's command line. So I'm going to hit Control-C to break out of this. That was Control-C to break out. Now you're at user mode. There's 3 different modes to work with within the Cisco iOS, and that is user mode, which is what this is, and this is Packet Tracer, so it's going to have a limited amount of commands to work with at each mode. It's not the full iOS, and eventually I'll bring in GNS3, which is get the full iOS. It's emulated in GNS3, so you're able to take the full iOS, put it into a virtual router, like a VMware for Cisco, and what it does is it emulates it so you're able to configure massive topologies and study for your CCIE lab, which is actually what I'm studying for. I'm studying for the CCIE written exam right now, so that's I use JNS3 pretty much for everything now because, well, Packet Tracer is good for somebody that's going through the CCNA and parts of the CCNP, but it doesn't do a lot of the things that you need for the CCNP. So in that regard, this is going to be good enough for a demonstration of basic remote management, setting up VLANs, basic routing, basic switching, things like that. So basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you user mode. In the user mode, you have very little privilege. So I'm going to type it as enable, and you can see that right here. Enable, turn on privilege mode. So you can either hit EN, or you can type in enable, and it'll bring you to it. Or you can hit exit. Or you can type EN and hit the tab key next to the Q and under the 1. And that's going to finish. Basically what you can do with the iOS is when you're typing a command in, you type it just enough in for it to know what you want. So you can type in conf, I'm hitting tab, type CO, and it doesn't know what I'm looking for. You hit the question mark right next to that, it's going to give you the 3 words, or it's going to give you anything that is that will work with what you typed in. So configure, connect, copy, obviously. So you type in N, it still doesn't know what you want. Configure, tab, configure. Now this is going into global configuration mode. That's the third and final. There's enable. There's user mode right here with the right caret. I think that's less than. Could be wrong. And then or greater than, one of the two. Then you type in enable. That brings you to privilege mode, which is that right there. That's privilege mode. The pound sign. And then you have global config mode. And I'm going to type in terminal. T for terminal. There's only one option for that one in the iOS anyway. And then this one, and if you're on the real iOS and not the packet tracer iOS, you get 3. You get terminal, something, and 2 others. I have to look at them and get back to you on that one. But terminal. So now I'm in global config mode. This is where you can actually do things. So I'm gonna hit question mark and tab through. So I'm on PC 0, but I'm connected to the router. So these are all the things you get to work with. Now theoretically, you could actually do quite a bit with this. Now, just off the top, you can configure basic AAA for like TACACS and remote security. So like if you have let's say you're an administrator and you have people that like help desk, and they have to be able to look at show commands. Well, they have a username and password that you configure on the router, and you have it on TACACS, and you tell them what commands that they can and can't do. So like you can go into global config and type in the username and password, and you can type in what they want to be able to use, and then you can set up that they're only able to look at show commands and specific show commands, like show IP interface brief, show IP route, show interfaces, that type of stuff. So they can't go in and do like a reload, or they can't do any terminal monitoring. Terminal monitoring, if you're in a virtual connection like Telnet or an SSH, you can turn on terminal monitoring, and it gives you the same output you would get if you were consoled into it. So, but then you got configuration register. That's if you want to change, if you wanted to bypass the startup config and load right into like ROM monitor mode. Then you got IPv6. If you want to configure IPv6 in it. Logging, if you want to see the update messages, you can tell it to log, and then if you want to save it to a syslog server to where you can look at them later. It does have some quality of service capabilities. Command privilege mode parameters, you can configure it to where you can only do certain things for your users. And then they have radius server for obviously for what's the word I'm looking for? The word of the day is authentication. Authentication. Some security. And then you get some zone-based firewall, some stuff like that. But anyway, what I'm going to type in here, now you see right here it says line. It says configure a terminal line. Well, there's 3 of them actually in a router. There's the telnet, there is the console, and then there is line VTY, then there is console, and then there's aux. So I'm going to type in line question mark. It gives you which lines you want to configure. You want to configure console or VTY. It doesn't give you the aux parameter on the 1841 because I don't think it has the interface on it right now. There are cards like if you open a computer and you slide in like a PCIe card for like a video card or a network adapter, something to that effect. Same concept with the router. You can put in like an analog phone line. You could put in asynchronous serial lines for doing, frame relay and things like that. So that's basically what you would do with this. So I'm going to type in line bty 0 space 4. Why do I type in space? Because you need to, because it doesn't accept the dash. That won't work. So line bty, actually I spelled it wrong. bty is virtual terminal. It's the same thing as bty is your telnet and SSH. So you type in enter. Now what you're going to do, you have some options. These are your options. So what you can do here, and it's real simple. Actually, let me get it configured, then I'll go back over some things. So what we're going to do is we're going to type in login. We're going to type in password Cisco, and then we're going to type in logging synchronous. So what did I just do? Well, basically, access class you can set up to where access class is your access list for who can and who can't log in. You can set it up per host, per subnet. Only a certain subnet can log in. Then you got data bits. I don't exactly know what that is, but exact timeout is how long it'll take, how long of a timer will go for before, with no activity before it'll kick you out. Enable. Okay, that's your history. IPv6, you can use IPv6 addresses to log into it. Message of the day banner. When you log into a remote device, you can have it set up to where every time they log in, it prompts them with it's a banner. It pops up and it says, this is a secure network. Only authorized individuals are allowed. And I'll show you how to set that up. It's actually really, really easy. Password, just set it privilege. You can set it up to where only certain privilege levels can log in. So that's pretty obvious, but I'll explain how that works. And the transport means what type of incoming connection will you allow, telnet or SSH. So now that that's done, I'm going to type in line console 0. Do the same thing. I'm going to do login. Now this is the console connector. This is exactly how I'm connected to the router right now. So I'm going to type in password. Now notice how there's only one password set up right here, because you can only have one person consoled in because there's only one port. Now you can actually have 16 people connected to a switch or a router via remote connection at one time. Well, would you ever want that many? No. Because if you got 16 people throwing commands at the switch or the router, it's going to be like, it's going to freak out. So basically what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to limit that down to a certain amount of people. So, and you wouldn't want 16 people looking at the switch anyway, because that's just going to cause more processor cycles. It's bad for the switch, or bad for the router. So password Cisco, type in log s, logging synchronous. What does that mean? Well, I'll show you. See how that worked? This right here, if I didn't have logging synchronous, this guy right here, my cursor would be right here. What logging synchronous does is it takes this, keeps it there, and then automatically takes this guy and puts it there. So that's how that works. It's nice because then when you're typing commands in and you got interfaces coming up and things like that, it's going to be a whole lot easier for you to keep a track of it, instead of all of a sudden you're typing a command, things pop up, and then you put your config in, and then the interface comes up and you've already hit end before the interface came up, and then it paints a whole bunch of stuff right here, and then fills it in here and here and here. So that's how that works. So I'm going to type in config t again, or I like conf t because it's shorter. So I'm going to type in as enable password Cisco. Okay, what does that do? It allows me to remotely connect to the router and get into enable mode so that I can do things. If you don't put the enable password on, it won't let you log in. Okay, so now there's another one you can do. It's called enable secret. If I put do in front of any command, it will automatically bring it from privilege mode and allow you to do it in global config. Do show run. So see how it says enable password Cisco? Well, let me do this. I'll go enable secret Cisco. See that? It turned it from a clear text password into an MD5 hash. A hash basically is a fancy algorithm that's ran, and this right here equals this. Okay, it's an MD5. 5 is MD5. Message digest 5 is the strength of which the password is created at. So what you're going to want to do now, if I was to log out and only type in this password right here, well, let's say for instance I typed in enable secret Cisco 1. Let's say this was Cisco 1 and this guy was Cisco. If I try typing in just Cisco at privilege mode, it wouldn't take it, because the fact that your enable secret trumps enable password. Okay, so that's one thing you're going to want to remember when you're setting this stuff up. If you type in two different passwords, you can type the same password in, but it's going to encrypt it. So what you're going to do is you're going to want to type in Control A to get to the beginning of it, and type in no. Enter. Oh, I'm sorry. You have to delete that. So there you go. No enable password. So now you're set. Now what we could do is we're going to type in N, we're going to type write mem. So it saves the running config to the startup config. Oh, you know what I didn't do? Do show IP interface brief. It does have a VLAN number. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in interface fast 0/0. Type in IP address 10.1.1.1.255.255.255.0. No shut. Now see that? Now if I wouldn't have had logging synchronous running, this right there, my thing would still be right here. Okay? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do show. There we go. See, now it's got an IP address. This is what it was right here. This is what it is right now. So why does it say yes manual up? If you ever see where it says administratively down, that means it's physically shut down. They haven't entered the no shut command. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to want to go under, like I did, under the interface configuration mode and type in no shut. What that does basically is it allows you to turn it turns it on. It's like going into the thing and flipping on a light switch in a room. So by doing that, you're able to, it turns the interface on. Now if you see up, down, that means that the physically plugged in, okay, this is physical. This right here is data link, which means it's actual data going across the cable from one device to another. So if you see this up and this down, nothing's plugged in. Or I'm sorry, there's no data across the line. So it's turned on, but there's no data. Now if it says down means that nothing's plugged in, there's no data coming across. If you want to, one thing you could do is, like, let's say for instance, you don't have another computer or another network behind, you don't have another switch to plug into here, and you want more than just one network to work with, because like you want to route from one network to another. What you're going to want to do is turn the no keep alive on. No keep alive means it turns off the layer 3 keep alive. It turns off ARP. So it doesn't need to go out there and say, hello, is anybody out there? Hello, is anybody out there? Hello, is anybody out there? It turns that off. So what it does is just goes, okay, you're there. It just sits. Doesn't do a thing. So, with that being said, we're going to type in and. We're going to do write mem so that it saves it. Now we're going to cancel this. We're going to hit command prompt. We're going to do telnet. We're going to do 10.1.1.1. Actually, you know what? Before I do that, this is the ultimate test. 10.1.1.1. Can we ping it? Hold your breath, people. Can we ping it? So far it's dying. It's ARPing. It's ARPing. It's ARPing. And nothing. I'm not really surprised. This is the nothing. This is the verification side of configuring. So, How do we fix that? Oh, very simple. Click OK. Now what we do is we do this. We do a click on over here. We highlight this, and fast 0/0 is up. It's got an IP address, and what we're going to do, we're going to click on options, preferences, and we're going to click on always show port labels, and we're going to close that. Fast 0/0. It's on. It's connected. So, oh, hey, I made a rookie mistake. Well, actually, I actually did that on purpose. I wasn't going to say anything until just now. I'm just kidding. I actually didn't. Totally forgot about this. When you're doing a ping, if you don't have IP addresses on the same subnet or IP addresses that are going to be able to talk to each other, and more importantly, this is the same subnet. If you don't have an IP address on the device that you're trying to ping from, and the IP address you get to, it gets there and it comes back. It's like, who do I go to? Doesn't know. So I got to type in 10.1.1.2. Okay. Now it could be any IP address inside of the 10.1/24 network, but because I'm kind of I'm particular about Class C addresses, 10.1.1.1. And this address we don't need. We can even just go with 2. We can do a /252 or a /30, a 252 subnet right here. But anyway, that's how that works. So I'm going to try this one more time. We're going to do a ping 10.1.1.1 because it knows where to go. Okay. Do a tracert 10.1.1.1. It knows where to go. See that? Took it 7 milliseconds to get there. So now we should be able to telnet to 10.1.1.1. Password Cisco. Bam. We're at user mode. Type in enable tab. Enter. Password Cisco. Enter. Bam. Show IP interface brief. Bam. We're on the router. This is telnet. Okay. This is not. Actually, you know what? Let me prove this to you. Okay. Take this guy. Can I take it from here? Will it let me? No, it won't. No. We're gonna take this guy and we're gonna kill it, and then we're gonna connect from here to here. And I will move a whole lot faster on this one because I don't have to go through the spiel I did before. So now we're not connected to the router through the console cable anymore. Just so I can prove it to you, we're gonna do a show run. Would you look at that? There you have it, folks. I'm not a liar. This is exactly how it's supposed to work. So now that we've set that up, I'm going to exit. So now I'm back on this. If you were in a Terra term or a PuTTY or a secure CRT, if you hit exit, the window would just close. So, just so you know. So now I'm gonna do a terminal. Click OK. Now here I am. I'm on the switch. Okay. This is a 2950 switch. This is the iOS it's running. So that's basically all you have to do. Now, different type of situation. Why it didn't do that, I don't know. But anyway, we're just gonna kind of go. We're gonna type in enable config T to get to the global config. That's my privilege escalation from user to administrator. And I'm gonna type in line VTY 0/4 IP address. Look at me. Type in login. Type in password Cisco. Type in log synchronous. Type in line console 0. Login. Now what I could technically do is just hit the up arrow. I could do that. By hitting the up arrow, it does all the same things. So what it does is it saves the last 10 entries into in memory, and it caches them. So you can do that, and there you go. So now my consoles are set up. I'm going to type in exit to get out of that, and exit one more time to get to this one. I went too far. Config T. So I'm going to type in enable secret Cisco. There you have it. So end show IP interface brief. Now down here at the bottom, you see that VLAN 1 right here that says, all these guys say down, but this guy says administratively down. This is your management plane right here. This is how you connect to your device remotely and control it without having to plug into it directly. So I'm going to type, I'm going to go to config T, I'm going to do interface VLAN1. Enter. Now, in another another video, I will explain what a VLAN is in some intricate detail. And once I've explained what a VLAN is, I'll show you. It'll just be the theoretical side of it. I'll explain how a VLAN works, what a broadcast domain is, what a collision domain is, and in another video past that, I'll show you how to configure VLANs and how to take them from several VLANs on one switch and several VLANs on another, and then I'll show you how to route them together, both router on a stick and layer 3 switching, because layer 3 switching is very simple. But anyway, I'm going to type in IP address. I'm going to type in 10.1.2 or 2.1. Now, Rob, why are you choosing another IP range? Why don't you go with the 10? Well, simple. Because you don't want to have your configuration or your production subnets on the same network as your management subnets. Why is that? Well, if anybody on your production that's not an administrator, they work in accounting or HR or whatever, they do something not administrative in the IT department, or they don't work in the IT department, they're not administrative. What you don't want them doing is being able to do any type of snooping, either layer 2 or layer 3, and finding your remote devices and trying to attempt to log into them. So by putting them on a different subnet and putting an access list in place to where only subnets that only remote management is only allowed from management or from the IT department subnets, you're able to mitigate any type of threat that might be able to be thrown at them. So that's why I put on a different subnet, 255.255.255.0. Now, no shut. There, that's that. So, let me do end. Do it right mem. There, it's done. Now let's see if am I gonna make a liar out of myself? 10.1.2.1. Destination host unreachable. Well, why is that? Well, it's because there's two different networks. So why did that blow up? Well, I kind of did that on purpose, because theoretically, with setting up security like that, it should go to the route and then back to the switch, but that's not what happened. So what am I going to do? I'm going to fix that. I'm going to go in global config. I'm going to type in interface VLAN1 and type in, should be right here. I'm going to type in 10.1 and I'm going to type in 254. Okay, there. And right mem. And back to here. Oh, Control C. Type in ping, 254. Now it's ARPing. What is ARP? It's trying to translate a layer 3 address into a layer 2 address, and I'll explain I'll explain the OSI model in another video. So, it's okay for the first time it goes through. Now it knows it's the ARP cache. So that's pretty much everything for that. So now I will telnet to 10.1.1.254. There I am. Cisco, enable, Cisco, bam, show run. Now, you can see the console cable right there. What am I going to do? You guessed it, kill the console connection to prove to you that I am actually telnetted into the switch. So I'm going to do a show IP interface brief. Bam. Do a show interface status. Switch port. Oh, okay. Doing a show interface switch port shows you everything you need to know about, the switch port itself. Native and .1Q and all the fancy stuff. So that's another video in all of itself. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. Actually, you know what? While I'm sitting here, I should go do exit, do a tracer, do 10.1.1.1. Okay, so it just forwards the traffic through. I was just checking something real quick. So that is the video itself, ladies and gentlemen. It was a little longer than I anticipated, but I spent a little bit more time talking about your privilege escalation in the iOS and the different topics that fall into it. So basically what's going to happen now is I have some CCIE studies to do, and I've got a lot of in-depth routing that I have to get concepts down and things of that nature. So I might shoot a quick VLAN video just to show you guys how stuff like that works, but that's it for right now. So I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.